Greetings and welcome to another Just Talk. This week is the month end or the month beginning, depending on the way that you look at it. So we're going to go in a little bit more detail into some of the stats and the way they've changed over the last month. Talk a bit about some of the videos, some plans for the future of the channel, and then we have a little secret surprise at the end of the stream, which I will not ruin just now, but hopefully will be, if it works well, and who knows if it will, then we will possibly be making a regular, or at least a semi-regular feature of it. Certainly on these month ends, I'd like to do a little bit more and do things a little bit differently. So let's crack on. Here is the dashboard screen. Probably the most interesting stat this week is the number of subscribers, because it has jumped up by about 100 since last week's Just Talk. This is because I have restarted my publicity engine and I have been cranking through it at the usual sort of rate. Now, it's fair to say that this type of publicity generates a lot more subscribers than it necessarily generates regular viewers of the content. But as you can see as well, if we compare this to last week's sort of like top videos, at the time they were sort of 20s, 30s. I think maybe one or two would have been into the 40s. Whereas now, like the most recent 5 videos, we've got like 57, 30, 60, 47, 55. So clearly, we have been attracting in some more viewers of the channel, which is awesome. And I hope if any of you are watching this Just Talk, either live or on the channel when it's uploaded, say hello and introduce yourselves and join in. It's a fun community here. Yay. Right, anyway, let's crack on with the actual analytics, shall we? So, as I said, this week there's been a bit of a pickup, and we can have a look at that. Probably not. It's not enormously clear from the stats, I have to say, which is probably because the stats are very spiky, and I know that some of the regular viewers are away on holiday and stuff at the moment, so it may be that we'll see a bit of a delayed impact from that. But if we also compare the number of views, then as you can see, this sort of like last week, we had a lull, we had a real lull. This was on Tuesday, which I didn't actually manage to upload a video on Tuesday, nor did I do any publicity on Tuesday because I was out Tuesday night and I just didn't get it ready in time. And as you can see, a rather pitiful, by our recent standards, 3 hours and 30 minutes of watch time and only 77 views. That is actually our lowest. It's certainly our lowest in the last month. The worst we had prior to that was 3 hours and 50 minutes on, I think, one of our weekends of shame. But ideally I would prefer not to drop down this low, but the rebound that we've had throughout the latter half of the week is quite good. Like when we were up to 10 hours, 10 hours, 10 hours, which is a reasonable resting state to be at. We've gotten quite used in the past to being sort of, 10 hours being more or less our lower limit, and we've gotten quite high above that, and I'm hoping we are going to get back to that as soon as possible. But in the meantime, I'm just happy to be seeing channel growth and subscriber growth and all of that kind of good stuff again. This is something else that I find interesting. The most watched video of the month, so the last 28 days, is the Stranded Deep update video, which is, March 21st is when that went out. So a long time ago, but that has had 181 views over the course of this month, making it the most watched video, which is pretty interesting that is continuing to see quite a lot of views. I'm wondering if maybe this is where quite a lot of our search results are coming in. I think it's certainly possible. Medieval Engineers, second place, look, with 87. Survival Building. The Medieval Engineers videos do seem to do very well. I think we've got a lot of people watching the channel who are quite keen on Medieval Engineers, which is good because I am as well. I'm enjoying the new Survival Building that we're doing, having a lot of fun with that, and I envisage that series going on, and hopefully they will continue to add survival components relatively quickly, including eventually maybe even larger landscapes, which would be very good indeed. So yeah, there you go, and that's, I don't know if there's anything else really that's particularly interesting in this. The City Skylines videos all sitting around sort of 43, 42, 40. It's still doing okay. If there is a show which I'm thinking of wrapping up in the near future, it's probably City Skylines, but honestly I'm not sure at this point in time. It would depend if I can come up with something that I think is going to replace it adequately. And I was thinking about doing sort of survival building stuff, but as I'm doing that in Medieval Engineers, that kind of fills that slot a little bit. So I'm not completely certain. Let's take a look at some of these other numbers. We're up to 9.9% female. That's pretty good. Debated nothing, by the way. Greetings. Sorry, that's just in the chat. I shouldn't really be doing that during this part because now I have to edit that out. Anyway, gender, yes, we're up to 9.9% female, which is a small gain, but it's a gain, and gains are good. Demographics, well, let's take a look, because everybody loves demographics, don't they? United States, top of the pile, 792. This is, of course, for combined subscribers and not subscribers. United Kingdom, second place. Pretty much of a muchness, actually. I mean, this hasn't changed an awful lot. Germany, third place there. Canada in fourth. Russia in fifth. Actually, that Russia has, I think, come up the rankings somewhat there. Look. Let's take a look at subscribed. Once again, United Kingdom at the top there. United States coming in second. Germany third. Finland, Canada, Cyprus. The Faroe Islands. Look at that. 10 views from the Faroe Islands. If you are indeed the viewer from the Faroe Islands who is a subscriber and watching the channel, I'd love to hear from you and to find out what it's like in the Faroe Islands. Let's take a look at the not subscribed figures. So again, United States top of the pile. Interestingly, look, United Kingdom dropping away quite a bit here in terms of not subscribed views, down to 200. I don't know off the top of my head whether this is because the United States has gone up quite a bit or whether the United Kingdom has dropped down, or maybe they've both dropped down. Who knows? Anyway, those are the figures, and that's all we get from them. Good. Overview. Let's take a look at the traffic sources. So we're looking at not subscribed. Again, YouTube search still holding. I mean, if anything, this is increasing. Look, 44% share now, 703 views. I really want to know what. Maybe this is all Stranded Deep. Maybe this is all the Stranded Deep update video, and possibly a little bit of Kerbal Space Program. Can we get more information on it? We can. Look, Medieval Engineers is actually the most returned as searches, 25 views. Can we? Oh, I just searched Medieval Engineers apparently, and am I in there anywhere? I don't see myself in there anywhere. Well, apparently people have managed to find me anyway. Legends of Valor, that's interesting. Legends of Valor, Legends of Valor, Legends of Valor. Stranded Deep update news, as we suspected. Medieval Engineers survival. Interesting. See, I guess these are the search traffic sources, the various means through which viewers found you. Yes, well, okay. I guess these are like the various search terms that people have put in that have then returned results that have had people come through to the site. It's actually really interesting information. If you run a YouTube channel, this is really well worth taking a look at. I had not encountered this before. Look at this. Stranded Deep Alpha 0.03, five results. Wow, there we go. Skullgirls, amazingly, returns 6 results. That's really interesting. All right. Anyway, look, let's not dwell on that because it's probably a lot more interesting for me than it is for you guys. Devices we're not really interested in. Audience retention, I would expect, has actually. Oh, okay. It went down a little bit, and then we peaked back up to 5 minutes and 8 seconds. Let's just check the average. Average also went up here to 29%. So we've actually had some drops to quite low figures here. What we're looking at, not subscribed. Let's look at the two together. There, our average dropped right down again. This must have been the Tuesday, the Tuesday of shame. Down to 17% average view duration, 2 minutes and 43 seconds. But then we bounced back up, and we're back up to our sort of 35% averages, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Engagement, subscribers. Now this is where you will see a stark change. In fact, I mean basically, we're 20 subscribers gained. This was Tuesday, so this is Sunday, and then we gained 9 on Monday. Only 1 on Tuesday, and then back up 15, 15, 13. I expect this is going to go up quite a bit as well for the rest of the days of this week that have not included in this report, because, like I say, we're up to like 1,446 or something, which is plus 100 on last week. So what's that? 20, 29, 30, 45, 50, 65, 55. I've lost count. But anyway, it's 100 in total. When you add it all up, it's 100. Just trust me on that. Likes and dislikes. These are perhaps tailing off a little bit. It's very spiky. It's interesting to look at. I reiterate the point that it's quite useful information to me in terms of, especially when you look at the total number of likes something gets. Because most of my views, I tend to think, are coming in off of subscribers. Most of the likes are probably coming in off of subscribers anyway. And so when a series starts to sort of like lose likes, I take that as an indication that people are liking it less. It may sound obvious, but it's one of the data sets that you can kind of look at as a YouTuber, especially when we've been through a bit of a lull period in the channel. A lot of that's been to do with the lack of publicity, but for myself, I think that in some respects some of the quality has slipped in certain areas. Certainly last week's concentration on live streaming meant that a lot of the videos were of lower quality because they were live stream highlights videos, or I just didn't have as much time to dedicate to them as I might otherwise do. That's not going to be the case going forward. I think we're probably going to be max like one live stream series at a time that will get converted up to YouTube. I might do other things on live stream depending on what's available, but not all of it is going to wind up on YouTube because it's I think it's just inherently lower quality, and I'd rather not spend time editing it if I think it's going to make for a lower quality episode. So there you go. That's that. Most liked in the last 28 days, Medieval Engineers Survival Building. Interesting. And then the plug and play, second most liked video. Very weird game. Very weird game. It's got that kind of shock value that might well convince people to click the like button. Kerbal Space Program, Juno 1 and a bit. Part 4, interestingly. 13 likes. And then, funnily enough, when I was talking about high stream highlights videos, actually a live stream highlights video tied there with 11 likes. So, I mean, maybe, in fact, both of them. Maybe I should reconsider live streaming highlights videos, at least as far as Skyrim is concerned. Good. Right, well, there you go. Likes and dislikes. Comments. I think this is just going to be it's kind of up and down. We've had a little bit of a peak here. We haven't had some of these real surges that we've seen in previous weeks, but generally speaking, I think comments have been pretty... My subjective opinion is that comments have been pretty strong. I've been struggling to keep up with them, so we can't be doing too badly in that respect. Great. All right, there we go. I think that is pretty much the analytics covered. I was maybe... just for sort of like for comparison, look, if we drag this back and look at kind of like, I don't know if this is going to be readable at all, like a longer time frame, if we go back to maybe it's easier if we actually put it in here. Look, let's put in the last 3 months. Can we do this quarter? Q3 2015, Q3 2015, Q2 last quarter. Last 90 days, let's do that. Last 3 months, basically. So you can see pretty much a downward trend here, which is, as I say, kind of what I've been experiencing. Only really in respect to, I say, a downward trend. Basically, this was kind of a peak brought about by a few specific videos doing very, very well. Then, as a general trend, the channel has been improving, like it's been generally trending upwards. And then we saw this sharp decline. I mean, look at this. That's very, very sharp decline, and we never really bounced seriously back from that. I mean, we've had this is kind of our resting level, so around this, as I said, sort of 9-10 hours resting level, but it sort of like spikes around it, whereas before, we were getting days like here, 20 hours, 19 hours, 19 hours, 16 hours, all the way back to kind of like over a day of watch time. And this is obviously the direction I would like to be going. And I'm going to be putting quite a bit of effort into the next, over the course of the next few weeks and indeed months to try and get the channel trending back in that direction. So that is good. That is good. And actually, over the last 90 days, look at that. Stranded Deep update video, top of the pile, 1,140 views. Kerbal Space Program 1.0 in next, interestingly, and then I can ignore that because that's the channel trailer. And then it drops quite sharply down to 284 views and all of that sort of stuff. Great. All right. Fantastic. Video Manager. I don't think there's really very much I need to say about this. Everything's coming along nicely. The Wizard in the Woods is definitely going to continue, although it will be mixed in with other medieval engineers, like regular building videos. Good old Ragnar continues his mighty quest in the halls of the dwarves. In fact, I think he has just recently defeated the Dwarf Lord. Spoilers if you haven't seen it, which quite a few of you, only 30 views. Honestly, give this series a chance, man. Give it a chance. But don't. The first few episodes are a little bit shaky. It gets better. Finally got back to doing another Kerbal Space Program Juno 1 and a bit video. Oh, by the way, I've rejigged the naming in direct response to a community post, to a comment that somebody made about the names. I would be interested if anybody has any feedback on this, if this is a better way around, if it makes it more difficult sometimes to see precisely what game is associated. I mean, I guess the thumbnails should tell you fairly concisely what game it is in, but putting the game kind of at the end, I don't know if that is if people think that is best or worst, or somewhere in between. And that pretty much wraps up this week's Just Talk, or at least it does, because if you are watching the show live, you'll know that we attempted to do a new bit at the end in which I get on a guest to come and talk about their own sites or channels, stats and statistics. And in this first week, we had Mick BMac from www.mickbmac.com, which is a gaming blog on which you can find very, very fine previews, reviews, early access coverage, and even a few articles on YouTubing technique and YouTubers who you may be interested in. It's a great read. It's well worth checking out. Unfortunately, we had a few technical difficulties, and although I could hear him just fine, nobody on the stream could hear him, and the recording has him very, very quiet. So rather than him being very quiet or amplifying me to the point of pure insanity, quite honestly, we've decided that we'll just go ahead and do it over next week. We're going to take a do-over on that. So I apologize that is missing this week, but I promise you won't miss anything in the long run. We will get back to it, and there's all sorts of great information there. And actually, we went on to play Magicka afterwards. Myself, Mick BMac, Chalky Chalkson, who is a channel patron and comments regular, and of course Debated Nothing, who destroyed us with lightning on a fairly regular basis. We played through a good chunk of Magicka. A good time was had by us. Whether it makes good viewing or not, I'm not sure, but I will certainly try and edit that into a highlights video at some point, and we will most likely be continuing that, assuming everybody is available, after next week's Just Talk as well. So, there you go. Until then, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed this video despite its little missing chunk. I have been Weird Wizard, and I will see you later.